Today's guest, Andrea D'Auria. Is that too much of a rolling of the R's? Am I putting too much Spanish in it?
You're pretty good. It's like D'Auria.
D'Auria.
Yes, sir.
D'Auria. Very nice. Very nice. You know, I love, first of all, the only Italians that I have met before working with the WBSC were like New York Italians, like, hey, forget about it, mafioso, you know, like that. But since being able to work with WBSC, I've met some great Italians, and you have beautiful names and beautiful people.
Different.
Yeah, and not so boring like American, like John Madden. You know.
Yeah, John, it's typical American.
Yeah, and not only great names, but beautiful people. Some of the best people that I've met over there, you know, like Cinzia, Totoni, you, Beppo, obviously Riccardo Fracati, everyone, you know, beautiful people.
A lot of big Italian community in the WBSC, you know.
Yeah, very loving people, very warm, very funny. You know, some of my favorite people that I met over there. So
try to do our best.
Thank you, first of all, so much for joining us here today. I just had a few questions for you. First, about
sorry, just a second. That's the good thing of live. I think my daughter is using something in downstairs that she can't turn off.
That's fine. I got a dog too here in the background. You might hear barking. So
okay.
Things happen. Life happens. Which obviously we're in a crazy time right now with this whole coronavirus.
Absolutely.
How's it going over there in Italy with you and the coronavirus and baseball and everything?
Well, in terms of life, since we start earlier than you guys, like 2-3 weeks earlier, now I'm not saying we are getting good, but better. I mean, the curve is flattening a little bit. We almost had 200 deaths yesterday compared to almost 1,000 when we got to the peak. Same thing with the new infected, and we are doing a lot of tests, so the situation is getting better. And last Monday, so 3-4 days ago, we moved into phase 2. That's called like more transition until the 18th. So some stores open. We are allowed to go and visit relatives, and we restart individual activities sport related, not team sport yet.
Okay. Is team sports in phase 3, or is there more phases?
That's called the phase 2B.
Phase 2B.
So,
okay.
Yeah, we are supposed to restart team sports on the 18th of May, but the government gave like 2 weeks plan. So probably next week we're gonna know for sure what can happen after May 18th.
Okay. Yeah, we've got a lot of. I also work with USSSA, and we've got a lot of stuff planned this summer. And I see the USSSA plaque behind you and the WBSC shirt behind you. Can you talk a little bit about what you do with USSSA and WBSC?
Well, with USSSA, I started back in 2011 with our common friend DJ.
The man.
Play with you. It was in the Mets, right?
The Mets organization.
Yeah.
Right?
So him and his dad started the international program. So I got invited to one of the conventions, and they involved me in the international program. So I was pretty active with him. We started running a development clinic all around Europe. And I think it was 2014, we had a meeting with the WBSC and see how we could help development worldwide. So that's why we start working with the WBSC.
Oh, wow.
And then beside that, every summer I was traveling to the States with the European kids to participate in a USSSA tournament. And the same thing, we had American teams coming to Europe and play summer tournament over here. So
that's awesome. And you have a son that plays and travels and come over here and played, following in Dad's footsteps, right? You used to play. You were a second baseman, pitched a little bit, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, you're right.
What was
we better not talk about my career as a player.
Well, at least tell us, what was it like coming up in Italy and playing baseball at, when you were coming up? What was it like?
Oh well, I never seen a baseball game, ball, not even a game, until I was 8. At the time, I was playing soccer, and during a summer camp, they took me to the baseball field because in my city they were starting a club. So we had the practice, and then I got a call. Hey, do you like to join us? I said, join what? I'm playing soccer. I'm a soccer player, right? But a few of my friends said, nah, let's go, let's try, blah, blah, blah. It was summertime. And, summer, it's when we stop the league, the soccer league. It's like a vacation for us. So I said, okay, let's go. Because at that age, you follow what your friends do, right? So I start, and I was successful at the time. I don't know why, but I could hit the ball. And I had a pretty good hand-eye coordination. So, growing up, I started when I was 8, and now it's like almost 35 years that I'm involved.
Wow.
So I've seen a lot of changes in our sport here.
So what is the difference now, like with your son playing there? How has it grown? What are some of the differences? What is it like right now in Italy?
Well,
before the coronavirus, of course.
Before the coronavirus, yeah. Now we are the same as US, same level now. Now I see a lot of improvement. Coaches are better. Everything is more organized, and the best thing that the kids now have more opportunities. When I was a kid, we had no chance to, first of all, to watch even an MLB game on TV, and now you can watch games. You have MLB TV. You have video games. So it's way easier to learn the dynamic of the game. And then there are like opportunities to travel, play summer tournament there. We had a lot of regional team that can play each other, try to qualify for the Little League World Series, stuff like that. We have a lot of international opportunities through the WBSC and the World Cups. At that time was not possible. So we didn't have the same opportunities when we were kids.
Well, that's great. And you mentioned before, you saw the jersey behind me, Grilly. Yeah. He got to play. I believe he played for the national team at one point during his pro career. That was pretty cool.
The chair of the Coach Commission is Marco Mazzieri. Has been 10 years the head coach of the Italian national team during 3 World Classic. And I still remember was 2013, the best result for Italy in the World Classic. We got to 3 outs to get to the Final Four. And I remember we were winning by 1 against was Dominican Republic. It was Dominican Republic, yeah. And Grilli was supposed to pitch the 9th inning, and they tried to call him to pitch the 8th, and he said no. Or was something like that. But I remember we needed Grilli at the time, and he couldn't. He made a call. He wanted to pitch, but he made a call to, I think, Pittsburgh at the time was pitching. I don't remember. So they said no and was not available, and we lost the game.
Oh,
lost the game.
That's tough. Yeah, and back, I think 2013 was 13. That was when he was like going off. I think that might have been his all-star year, maybe. Possibly.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so he was really like he would have been a huge asset right there too.
Yeah, they asked him to pitch 2 innings. I remember the story. They asked him to pitch 2 innings, and he said, "No, I'm not available for 2." So we lost after 8. So we were a visiting team, and we didn't have the 9th defense, so we never pitched that game. It was in and out for us.
I'm sure, Grilli is a friend of mine. He's a real good guy. I'm sure he probably wanted to. I don't know the whole story, but I'm sure like guys like that, like MLB All Stars like that, when they come over and play in games like that, the teams, the organizations they're with don't want to, make sure they're not being overused and stuff like that. I'm sure it was a tough situation for everyone. That would have been cool though for Italy to shut it down and advance.
Yeah. Should have been a great experience, and then also a lot of money for the Italian Federation.
Oh man, that stinks. Well,
tell him he owes like a check to the National Federation.
Let me ask you this about going back to youth baseball in Italy, and really not even just Italy, but around the world. You have a son who's playing. What kind of approach do you take in teaching him the game of baseball? Because it's a little different from coming from a dad to a son teaching the game versus a coach to a son. How's your whole dynamic and approach in that respect?
That's difficult. I see somebody I don't. Sometimes I don't like to be dad and coach at the same time, but it is what it is. And when I have to explain to my players, especially the really young, like 10 years old, 11 years old, where my son now is 11, how to respect the rules and stuff like that. The first kid that received punishment is always my son, because they say, hey, if you don't respect the rules, nobody will respect the rules for that reason. But, well, my approach is, since we don't have so many kids playing like in the States, we have to keep the ones we have, right? Because we are trying to steal in from other sport, but it's not easy in Italy. So first thing, they must love the game. So you must keep the game easy and funny, not going into technical things until they don't turn maybe 12, 13, 14 years old. Then when you see if they have a chance to grow up and maybe in the future play in your senior team, because we have like a club system in Italy. So the players go up in the same club. So you are thinking, okay, I want to develop this player until he can get to the top team, right? The senior team.
Okay.
It's different like travel ball system in US. 1 year he plays for a travel ball. The next year he can go and join another one. No. So he is not for business. It's just for fun and to develop player for the senior team. So that's my goal. Try to teach them how to play. At the same time, try to keep them engaged, involved in the game. So they need to have fun. So that's my focus.
Now, what about for other parents who have kids around the same age? What is your advice? And not just Italians, but bringing the whole big picture into play. Americans in the U.S. and all over. You've traveled to so many different countries and seen baseball and softball in so many different countries. What is your advice to some of these parents who have kids in the game of baseball, trying to bring them up?
Well, the first thing, let them understand their kids are not like Albert Pujols or Mike Trout. So they are just kids. So the first thing, and they are the players, not the parents. So just enjoy watching your son playing and doing something he's having fun with. It's like going to like a park and see them like on a roller coaster or stuff like that. You don't yell at him and you don't try to give him advice. You just you are happy if your son is having fun and is happy. So just support him and let him play, let him having fun. That's what I do because sometimes my son also goes playing for other team in the summer when we do like not leagues game, but like summer tournament. He got a call, hey, does your son want to play for my team during this Parma event? So, okay, I bring him. So at the time, I'm not a coach. I'm just a parent, and I enjoy watching the game and look at him having fun and just don't say anything about baseball. Zero.
But so what you're telling me is there's crazy baseball parents all across this world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even here. But here, if I'm talking as a coach, before the season starts, we have a parents meeting. And the first thing I tell them, listen, I'm not a volunteer as a coach. That's my full-time job. So I'm not telling you what you have to do in your own job. If you are like an accountant, an administrator, an engineer, I'm not saying anything. It's not, I don't have the knowledge to tell you what to do. So you don't have the knowledge to tell me what to do on a baseball field. So support your son and shut up. I'm just going. If you don't like the way I coach, go to the president of the club and tell him to remove me. boom.
No, but that's great to say that straight up front so that they know, because if you don't ever bring that up, then you're going to run into issues, mid-season where, things start getting crazy. And it happens everywhere. I see that here in the United States too all the time. It's crazy. Let me ask you this. What about philosophy-wise in baseball? And I'm talking about at the highest levels of the game, because I know, or at least I've come to understand that there's different philosophies of the game. Like the U.S. has, one philosophy. Japan has a totally different philosophy of how to approach the game. I'm sure there's many other different, and you've traveled a lot more than I have. Who do you think has the best implementation of, the philosophy of baseball?
Well, the philosophy is only one: winning games at that level. Okay, so basically, I think you must find the best strategy that works for your team to win games. US, you played so many games, 160. Well, not this year, but 162. So you have to let the player be comfortable in their position in the lineup or whatever, so not giving them so many signs. I don't see how many bunts an average MLB team does in American League beside the pitcher, so not that much.
Not much.
Okay, you see Italian league games at the top division, when you have some former major league playing, maybe you see 4 bunts in a game. All right, I've seen games where lead off on base, bunt the second batter of the game. Just every time you got a chance, try to score 1. That's the philosophy in some league, while in US, don't think about scoring 1, try to score like 5. All right? So then free to swing. I've seen a lot of games in Asia, and most of the batter are a little bit more disciplined than in US or Latin America. So they try to maybe early in the count, try to swing a little bit like with power, but at the end, just to try to put the ball in play. Just stay to the ball, and if you have a chance to do the routine plays, that's what they do more.
Yeah, it's crazy that, and America has developed over the years into, it's almost like a culture now where like they even have shirts now that say like how to bunt. Number 1, don't bunt. Number 2, hit a home run. Like it's almost like the culture is like, and the Americans just want to hit home runs as hard as they can, and pitchers want to throw as fast as they can and get the spin rate and blow it by batters, But I remember a day when it wasn't like that, and we tried to advance the runners, and we weren't talking about launch angle all the time and stuff like that. And being the leaders in baseball, or at least from my perspective, I'm saying that as an American, but that's not always great for the kids to watch, because it's kind of given a false sense of where they should be at a young age. They're seeing all these guys swinging for the fences and throwing 100 miles an hour, and these kids want to try to emulate that and do the same thing when their bodies are just not built for that yet, especially at the the youth level. I'm talking like 8 to 13 years old. So it's definitely tough.
Yeah, as I was saying, John, it's depends on the strategy that works for you, and so the strategy is made by the players that you have. So me and you, we are a little bit different body-wise. So maybe if I try to swing the same way as you, I will not be successful. So I need to find a way to get on base and produce run. That's why Americans are a little bit taller and bigger and stronger than maybe Japanese. But at the same time, it's not all about physical, because if not, you wouldn't have Altuve having like 30 plus home run.
Right.
Or, So,
well,
but
I tell you what, you don't want to swing like me, Andrea. I'll tell you that. As a pitcher, only I had 1 professional at bat, and it was a strikeout. And who you want to swing like is like DJ Wabick. That guy can swing.
maybe. But listen, you have less strikeout in your career than DJ Wabick. Anyway,
that's very true. I need to remind him of that next time I see him.
I only strike out once in my life. And I see you swinging with the wiffle ball machine in your living room. You're pretty good.
You know what? Thank you, first of all. But that thing is awesome. I love that machine, man.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've got these gloves too. They're little gloves. The kids love these freaking gloves. They put them on the hand, like on the finger right here, and and on the thumb here, and then you can catch the mini wiffle balls in here, and it really works on like the hand-eye coordination.
Yeah,
You have to be
that's good.
super like soft with your hands because the mini wiffle ball is really light, and this thing is it's hard to do. So when it hits in here, you got to be really soft and receive it. Actually, the Texas Rangers bought some of these. The Cleveland Indians bought some of these. Like, guys are loving it, and the kids love these things. One, because it's fun. It's fun to do.
Oh yeah.
Parents love it because it's safe. That mini wiffle ball can smoke them right in the head. It's not going to hurt them. It's just, and it's great for hand-eye coordination.
Yeah. You know what? When I seen your videos was like the beginning of our lockdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was March. So I was saying, I should try to order one, but if I order something for the States, it's gonna cost me like $3,000
for shipping.
Shipping, taxes, because you have to pay like taxes once the things arrive here, and it's like an extra 30%.
Oh,
so
wow.
Cost a little bit too much.
Wow.
If you don't find a way,
Yeah, well, next time I see you, I'll have to have one for you so you can travel back with it, or if
Sure.
I'm over there. Like when I did a camp in Germany, I think my friend Tony.
Yep.
He actually started a new thing. It's called bullpen performing instruction. Yeah,
that.
so we're gonna do some stuff over there and just work on developing those guys over there in Germany. I had the opportunity to go over there in Berlin last year, and I brought some of the gloves over, and the kids loved those. Anyway, my point is, next time I see you, I'll get you hooked up with some of the gloves.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Having now during the lockdown, perfect. Can have my son, instead of myself like trying to think about what we can do in the apartment. And I did some tutorial video on that. Try to hit with like a plastic bottle or stuff like, or towel. That was one day I was able to go into the garage, and my son had BP with the Nerf gun.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
But
talk about hand-eye coordination, right?
Yeah.
When you train it small like that.
And as you said, having fun.
Having fun, yeah.
Having fun, yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
So what are you doing with the WBSC? I know we talked about it a little bit earlier. Like, you're working with the Coaches Commission. Like, what do you do with the Coaches Commission?
Well, we start this project now. It's 2 years ago, our first meetings, and was myself, DJ, and Marco Mazzieri at the beginning. Then we selected another 3 guys for baseball, 2 guys for baseball. One is Jeffrey Emmons, Player Association, former major leaguer. Another one is a mental coach from Seattle. And we had 3 people for softball as well. We discussed about the needs worldwide from the different federations that are the members of the WBSC, and see how can we help, how we can help them to go up the baseball and softball in their country. So we put together levels of certification. Now, and the last step was October. We certified our international instructor. We did a clinic in Viera. And so now those instructors will be able to travel according to the level or the needs of the country, and according to our level of certification, the content of our levels. They will be able to develop a clinic for coaches.
That's awesome. That's cool. So it's basically teaching the coaches what they need to know, and then certifying them based on their level and their knowledge and experience.
Yeah, because you can have good players, but if the leaders or the coaches are not good. And at the beginning, we were with DJ and other former major leaguer, we were traveling and running clinic for the players. But think about, you do a lot of clinic, but or you see the players every day, or you see the player maybe 3 days in a year. You teach them something, then they go back to work with their local coach. That is not good enough. They're gonna lose what they did with you 3 days, so they have to come back with you. So it's good for your business, but not good in terms of the player. And the rest of the world has not the same system as United States. So private lesson academies are not very common, so you have to develop and you have to train the coaches first if you want to have better players.
That's great too, because I know a lot of the times we look at coaches from experience in playing. Yeah. And a lot of the times, some of the best players in the game are terrible coaches. Yeah. And I myself, when I got done playing, I was a terrible coach. And I thought I knew everything about the game because I played at a high level. And it wasn't true. And I didn't really become a student of the game until I got done playing. And I'm still learning, and I still want to be open to new ideas and how the game is growing and what I could do to better myself and the people that I'm giving information to. And, sometimes when we look at coaches and we say, oh man, he played in the big leagues or the big leagues respective to where he's at. And then they come and coach. It's not necessarily a great situation. So having this coaches commission and the certification, I can see as being huge.
Yeah. And as you said, maybe as a player, to get to that level, you should have like a talent.
Right.
And most of the time talent let you do things that you don't even have to think. So right. It's natural, right? So when you try to make the transition to coach, you say, okay, just do this, because for you was natural, but not for the other people. So you have to find the key to teach your players, not just, well, it's good that you at least can show something. But if you are not able to fix the problems they have, that's what they make the difference, right?
Right. Oh yeah. All the difference in the world. That's what a coach is, being able to make the players you have great. I think that's the main objective, at least. What is Baseball 5?
Baseball 5 is a great sport. Now I do commercial for the WBSC. Now, I have to start a webinar, I was telling you before, next Monday for Baseball 5. So I truly believe on this new discipline. Every main sport in the world, like soccer, basketball, rugby, volleyball, they have like a little brother or little sister. You have like basketball 3-3, you have rugby 7, you have beach volley, stuff like that. So the WBSC said we need to find a way to have everybody playing our sport, right? Even in countries where they have no access to equipment, or somebody that have no money to buy the equipment, or some neighbor without dedicated venue. So they said, okay, let's see. And so they made like a research on little brother of baseball and softball around the world. And they found that the cuatro esquina, the four corners they play in Cuba, was probably a solution. So those guys in Cuba, since many years, they play with a rubber ball. They hit the ball bare end, and they run. No, they actually depends on how big is the but it like in a cross. How do you say in English when two roads cross each other?
Crisscross, or like an X, or
yeah. So they were going from a side to the other one and using the four corners as bases.
Oh, okay.
All right. So
they run the second base. Like basically run the second base?
No, you hit from this corner, then you go to that corner in front of you, it's the first base, then you move to the other corner, second base, third. So what you use the four corners of the four side of the corner as bases.
Okay.
And you use a rubber ball. In Venezuela they play vitilla or tapillas with the plastic, but with a stick. They said, okay, we need to find something that requires less equipment as possible, and then try to convert in an official discipline. And they said this one looks like okay, because you can play, let me do the conversion, 60 feet per side. That's the dimension of a baseball 5 feet.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need a big space.
And then do they bounce the ball, or do they throw it when they hit it?
No, you just toss the ball and you have to slap it, or with the fist or palm, and you hit the ball with your bare hand.
So is there a pitcher, or the batter hits it?
No pitcher, no catcher. You play 5 against 5. That's why baseball 5.
Oh,
So you
okay.
have 5 players in defense and 5 players in the offense, and then you have a batter box behind home plate. It's like 10 feet per side, the batter box, so you can like create your momentum to first base, like doing like a shuffle and then slap the ball. You have the ball in
Oh.
your hand, you slap the ball, and then you have to practice a lot hitting, try to find gap in between the defensive players, and it's not easy, man.
Oh, wow. And how is the ball? Is it like a racket ball or is it like a heavier rubber
It's
ball?
a rubber ball, rubber ball.
Pretty light in weight
Yeah,
or?
yeah. It's safe for the kids as well.
Okay. And is it like an out system, like 3 outs and
It's the same concept.
same concept?
Same. The only thing you have to do, it's the first bounce has to be before the fences. So if you hit straight into the fence or home run, you out.
Oh,
And
okay.
there is like a line in front of home plate at 4.5 meters, let's say like 15 feet, something, 14 feet, right? The first bounce have to be after that line. If
Oh,
it's
okay.
before the line, you out.
Okay.
So basically, you have to try to smash the ball as hard as you can, and then just run to the base. Like same thing. Fly ball is out. If they catch the ball, you out, and there is no foul ball. So if the first bounce is in fair territory, ball is alive. If it's the first bounce is in foul territory, you out. You miss the ball, when you hit, you miss the ball, you out.
So no strikes or anything like that.
Nothing.
One shot.
Yeah, you take off that's called the boring part. That's pitching, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
yeah.
It's quicker, much
So
quicker game, it sounds like.
it's very dynamic, fast and dynamic.
And how much is there any innings or anything like that? Like
It's 5 innings game. You can do best of 3, but normally if you can play a little bit defense, 15 minutes, a game is over. 15.
and then how does like so say like the third baseman, I know it's not a third baseman, but say the third baseman fields a ground ball. What is there a first baseman he throws it to, or is he trying to hit the guy running?
No. You have the 5 defensive players.
Uh-huh.
There is first, they play in the normal, well, you can play wherever you want, but even in baseball, you can shift the defense. Right. So normally you have first base, second base, shortstop, third baseman, and there is like a midfielder that stay around the second base.
Oh, okay.
So that's the position of or you can move it a little bit in the midfielder, like in the pitcher position, if you have to make a play at home because you don't have the catcher.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Oh, I see.
So think about, I do, every time I do this example, maybe it doesn't happen in the States, it happens a lot in Italy or other less developed country. You have a kid playing right fielder, because in Italy we put our worst player playing right fielder and you hope nobody's going to hit the ball there, right?
Right.
So maybe he doesn't catch a ball in a game, nobody hit there. Then you are, as a hitter, maybe you have 3 at bat, you have 3 walks. What do you think once the kid go back home? Maybe his mom asked him, hey, did you enjoy today? He said, no, of course. So maybe, let's try another sport. With this one, you have action.
Right.
You play, you have action. So it's, and it can be in some country a way to recruit players. In the school in Africa, for example, where you have 100 kids, you set up 3 fields, you only need 3 balls, you don't need bases, nothing. You just mark the lines or whatever with chalk. And then if they like it, maybe they can even after go and play baseball or softball.
Right. And no gloves. They don't need gloves or anything.
No gloves, nothing. No equipment. And the other good thing is that, I mean, it's a good tool also for baseball and softball.
Because
you practice fielding with bare hand. The dynamic of running is the same concept, base running, while in baseball or softball, you have 2 coaches that sometimes overcoach you. Right. While there, you don't have time for coaches. Yeah. You must learn how to move and react.
Right.
And also for catching, you have to catch a ball when somebody throw the ball to you and have soft and smooth hands. If not, you're not going to catch it. And okay, hitting, you don't have a bat, but I should send you the picture of the Cubans that are the best. the way they hit, basically it's the same concept. Balance, rotation, short to the ball. We don't have a bad speed. We had like a hand speed,
Right.
but then hand-eye coordination is a must.
Yeah.
So you train in also all these things in hitting. So
Wow.
instead of doing at the beginning of a practice for kids, sometimes I introduced with my team, I under 12, the first 20 minutes in a practice, not every practice, we play baseball 5.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's a great way to get started too, and it's so great for the development too of them.
Yeah.
Is it played on a hard surface or like?
Well, the slogan say play everywhere. So I played on grass, turf, bitumen. I play on clay. When there are WBSC official competition, there is like a surface. It's like more like similar to plastic, but light. The small pieces that you fix all together.
Okay.
But that's only for their main event.
So like
now,
do you like slide on it or it's more sticky?
You can. No, you can slide. You can slide.
It's like a gym floor almost.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
But so they developed the sport to offer like something new to the federation members. But actually, they found everybody loved to play. So I was personally in Buenos Aires 2 years ago at the Youth Olympic Games. So the IOC liked the idea, and they introduced the game and will be an official discipline in Dakar 2022. And it's the first step to get into the Olympic.
Wow, that is cool.
So now we have continental qualifier. I was at the continental in Europe. I'm working with the Asian and African one. There will be a Pan American as well. And the best team, the 12 top team will qualify for the World Cup. That's going to be in Mexico on December this year. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's so brilliant. Like, who came up with that idea? I mean, there's so many brilliant people there at the WBSC. I mean, you got Ricardo Fracari, you got Michael Schmidt, Bang Chulo, you, DJ. I mean, like these brilliant people coming up with these ideas, like the baseball and softball mix in 12U. I was there in where were we? In Chinese Taipei for that one. Yeah. It was just so much cool stuff coming out of there.
Yeah, last time I met you was a softball event. Actually,
softball in
we were in Shanghai.
Shanghai, yeah, for the Olympic qualifier.
Softball Olympic qualifier, yeah, true.
Yeah,
I would like to say it was my idea, but wasn't. I think the need of something new was brought up by Ricardo, by President Fracari, and. If I well remember, the president of European Confederation told him about this discipline in Cuba, because there was a big event sponsored by Red Bull. So they went there, they watched it, and at the end they decided, okay, let's use this, let's implement our rules and see how it was. So it was like was brainstorming through some of the WBSC executive members, and I think it was a pretty good idea and pretty good results after that. So
that sounds really cool. And I knew about it just from working with the WBSC. I had heard about it. I had saw some videos of guys playing it, but I didn't really understand it until you just broke it down for me there. How strong is it in other countries, and is anyone doing it in the US currently?
We had a guy last year in Cuba. We had a seminar to certify continental instructor for baseball 5. We had a guy from USA Baseball, but actually I don't know if he's doing something right now. I don't know. I introduced during the Women Baseball World Cup to some school in Viera, around Viera, but then the market in the States is tough.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get someone to go from baseball, which is like the main thing in youth baseball, and drive them somewhere else, where a lot of guys, back when I was coming up, we would play multiple sports. I grew up playing basketball, football, baseball. I played volleyball,
no soccer.
No soccer. No. I did when I was a little guy, when I was like 4 or 5, but that was it. I was like, wait, you
Okay.
can't use your hands? This doesn't seem very American to me.
Makes sense. You goalkeeper.
Yeah. So, that's how it was when I was coming up. But nowadays, these kids are specializing at like 8 years old. They're like, no, I'm a baseball player. So it's hard to like get them to move, get from their sport into the other sports, at least here, in my opinion. But that sounds like such a fascinating and cool and fast-paced, fun sport to keep their attention. And, I don't know, that just seems fun.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I still prefer baseball, but I think it's very nice. I mean, you can do both. You can do both.
Yeah.
Or you can. I personally, as coach commission, baseball and softball coach commission, it's a tool that we use at the grassroots level. So for our you have to introduce baseball or softball in a country where there is nothing, so no coaches, nothing. So we go straight to the school teachers, and how can you explain them all the rules of baseball and softball? It's going to be a mess, and especially it would be tough to develop pitchers. Okay, so let's start with baseball 5 and see step by step what we can do. At the same time, maybe those school teachers can get better and go to the next level, and maybe we can introduce baseball and softball concept. But at the grassroots level, for me, is perfect.
That's really cool. Andrea, can you send me a baseball 5 ball, and in return, I will send you some of the little gloves that I have. We'll make a trade.
You know what? I will do for sure. If you wanna early than the day we will see each other, there is a box at Viera in the office left that actually they should ship me back because we had a ton of equipment there. I was planning to travel on mid-March to shoot tips and drill for the coach commission, so we had all the equipment there, and then 2 weeks before, when something come up here, I said, I better cancel my trip to Florida, so that I have all the equipment stocked there at the office.
Oh, nice.
So just pass by and say, I need a ball of baseball 5.
I'll do it. Andrea, thank you so much for coming on and giving us your time, and it was great speaking with you. I hope to see you soon again. Hopefully we get to travel again soon, wherever it may be, because I feel like I've only saw you twice in the U.S. and the other times we're in somewhere else, so wherever I get to see you, it's always a pleasure. You're always happy, always smiling, always going about the game in a certain way. Definitely a baseball guy, the way you carry yourself, and I love it. I appreciate you, and thanks again, man.
Same here. Stay safe, man.
You
Ciao,
too.
my friend.
You too, and say hi to your son for me.
All right, I will.
All right. See you, Andrea.